Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel once again. My name is Betty and today I came up with this skirt. Is stretching and fitting at the same time. So if you would love to have one, stay tuned and let's make this together. So on this project I'm going to be using 2 stitches, that is a double crochet and a single crochet, and I'll be starting my work from the waist down to the knee, and you will do the same thing. Get your measurements from your waist down to the exactly part that you want the skirt to reach, or the length of your skirt to reach. Then I'll meet you. Okay, so to start you have to have your yarn, any type of yarn that you have or that you can use. For me, I have these 2 different sizes of yarn. This one is bigger size, that is 5 ply, and I'm going to be mixing it with this small size of yarn. This is the normal size of yarn. I don't know whether it's 2. I think it could be 2. I guess so. I don't know very well, but it's very tiny. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to double this tiny yarn into 2, like so. Then this one, I'll use it the way it is, but still we'll get something beautiful. So the next thing will be our hook, and I'm using 4mm hook on this project. Then I'll need my tape measure. Then next it will be my scissors, and yeah, that's all for now. So to start our project, remember I told you to get your measurements from your waist down to the area that you want your skirt to reach, and make a chain of that measurements. So chain according to the measurements you have. Then I'll see you. Okay, here I am with my chain, and I went ahead and made a total of 110 chains, and the measurement is 27 when stretched a bit, but when I overstretch it, it will give me a total of 30. I think, yeah, a total of 30 when I stretch it. When I've not stretched it, it is 25. When I stretch it a bit, it will give me a total of 27. So to start your work, you start with a single crochet, and you make a single crochet in your second stitch, then continue with another single crochet and another single crochet. So if you are just a beginner and you don't know how to make a single crochet, you can write it in the comment section, then I'll help you on how to make single crochets. So make single crochets from the start to the end of your row. So now we are here, we are almost getting to the end of the row with our single crochets. And this is our last single crochet, sorry. So next it will be our row 3, and to start a row 3, you chain 2, turn your work, then start making a double crochet in the back loop. Double crochet in the back loop. Okay, go to the next. In only back loops, I think you can see it very well. I'm working on only the back loop, and this will be the pattern for this row. So go ahead and make your double crochets in the back loop until you get to the end of the row. Okay, now I'm at the end of the row and I have like 3 more double crochets. Remember, I'm still working on my back loop, and I'm making my last double crochet in that last back loop. So now I'm done with this row, and row 4 I'll chain 1, then turn my work. Then this is another different thing. Insert your hook this side and bring it out from the other side. I don't know how I'll call this chain. Then single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert in that same space and bring it from the other space. I don't know how I'll call this, but as you're watching, you can see it very well and learn how I'm doing it. And in case if you didn't understand it, I don't know how they call this stitch, but if you didn't understand it, then you please write it down. Then I'll see how I can do it for you again. So I think you can see how beautiful it is. It has started bringing out the designs I wanted. And yeah, so continue to the end. So here I'm at the end of this row and I still have more single crochets. And remember, we are working in between of a row. And yeah, that will be all for row 4. So there's another thing. When you get to the end of this row at the last stitch, make sure you just make your single crochet on top of that last stitch. Don't pass through like we did before. Just make your single crochet on top of the row like this. So that's how you end your row of your single crochets. Then start another row. I'll chain 2, then turn my work, and now I'll be working on the back loop again with my double crochet. So the first stitch is where you're going to work on that back loop, inside the back loop, sorry. So we'll start with our first double crochet at the first stitch, then the next will still be a double crochet. So this pattern is all about double crochet in the back loop, then single crochet in between or within, I don't know how I'll call it, within the stitch or within the row, I don't know, in between of a row, whatever it is. So now continue with this back loop. We'll meet at the end of this row. Okay, we are at the end of the row now, and we are still making our double crochets in the back loop. And now we are making our last double crochet. Always remember that stitch, that last stitch, until you see there's no stitch left out. So next will be chain 1 and turn your work And now start with your single crochets again. Remember how we made our single crochets? You pass through this space and come back from this other space like so. Grab your yarn and pass through and make a single crochet. Then you continue with this pattern again until you get to the end of the row. Then here we'll start another row together. Okay, finally we are at the end of this row. So we are at the end of this row and we are making a single crochet on top of that space where we chain 2 before we started our double crochet. So in between you're going to just put your single crochet on top like so. Then chain 2 and then turn your work and you start with your double crochets in the back loop. So yeah, that is all we are going to be doing for this pattern. Okay, now continue with this pattern until you get to the rows that you want before you change another yarn, because we are going to be mixing 2 yarn. If you're mixing like me, or if you're using 1 yarn, then you continue. If you're using 2 yarns, 2 different colors, so you have to make your rows that you need for that color. Then yeah, I'll show you how to mix or how to change your color when we are mixing it. So this is how the work is looking so far. It's so beautiful. Wow, so I went ahead and did a row of, is it 10? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I did a row of 10 rows in this color. Then I'll be changing my yarn. And the measurements I got, it was 7 inches. So I'm going to be attaching another yarn. So to attach another yarn, I'll just close this like so and attach my new yarn in that first stitch like so. Like so. Then I'll chain 1, and there's something I wanted to clear before you start or before you change your yarn. Make sure you stopped on the row of double crochets. So when you attach your yarn, you start with your single crochets. Okay? Yeah, so let's start with our single crochets. So now this row, it will be for single crochets until you get to the end. Okay, here I'm at the end of the row. So I'm making my last single crochet, and that I'll make it on in between of chain 2 that I chained before with that double crochet. I'll make that single crochet on top of it. Then next I'll chain 2, then turn my work, yeah, and continue with my double crochets in the back loop. So this is what we are going to do for this pattern from the start to the end. If you're changing your yarn, you count the rows you want, whether you follow my rows, 10 rows, 6 rows, 8 rows, then you attach your different color of yarn, and you continue like this until you get to the end of the row. Otherwise, when you followed us from the beginning to now, and the video is so interesting and you've not subscribed yet, please do not forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you have any suggestion, you have any question you would love or like us to make something together, please write it in the comment section. Then I'll say thank you so much for all my subscribers. Yeah, we are soon making 150, and I do not take you guys for granted. I love you so much. So this is how our work is looking. So we are at the end of the row, and we still have some double crochets. Remember, we are still working on our back loop. So by now I know you've understood the pattern, you've followed it because it's so easy. You can do it, right? Yeah, so that is it. So we are going to be repeating that same 2 rows of a double crochet and a single crochet, and that will be all. So at the end, remember there's the end, that stitch that is remaining, do not forget it. You have to make your double crochet on top of that stitch. Yeah, the next will be chain 1, turn your work, yeah, and continue with your next row. Okay, so now for this row, for this color of yarn, I'm going to make 10 rows like the ones I made before to balance them. So go ahead and make your rows, whether it was 10, whether it is 9, whether it is 3, I don't know. So after making your rows that you want, then you still join the other next color, as you're going to see, as I'm going to show you at the last. I think it's the last time I'll show you, because you've known what to do. If there's any question, I'll still ask. So let's go and I'll show you. Guys, we are here. We are here with our 10 rows in different colors. Altogether is 20. 10, 10, that is 20. You can see it's still the same size. It's still the same length. There's no difference. All right, no one can tell that this was small size yarn and the other one was 5. It's still the same. So I'm attaching another different color, the one I started with, and to attach it, still the same thing we did before. I'll chain 1 and put the yarn and close it up, then start another row, another fresh row. And remember, whenever you want to change your yarn or attach your yarn, make sure you end on the double crochet. double crochet what row. Then after attaching, you start with your single crochets. After attaching, you turn your work, then you start with your single crochets. Yeah, and that's all we are going to do. So continue until you get to the end of the row. Then I'll show you one more time on how to end a row. I'll start with it. Then continue those same rows. Follow that same pattern with those two rows until you get your measurements of your hip. Okay, take your measurements of your hip, then crochet and make sure you have as long as your measurements, so that it will cover you very well, because remember we are working from waist to down, and now these rows that we are making are the rows that are going to cover up the skirt. So take your measurements and make sure you make this panel to be very long to your hip measurements. Then yeah, I'll show you what's next. Okay, we are now at the end of this row, and our last single crochet has to be in between of that chain 2 and double crochet on top of it, like so. So next row we'll chain 2 and again turn our work and start with our double crochet. So that's all what we are doing for now. So just continue and get your hip measurements, then yeah. Okay, now this is how my work is. I've gotten 40 rows in 2 different colors, and I went ahead and got the width that is from my hip size is 30. That is hip size is 30. Then when I fold it together, I got 15. When I join the panel together, it is 15. Then the length from waist down to my knee, it was 25. Remember, before I got 27, but it has reduced more, which is still okay for me. So go ahead and join your panel together, yeah, to form a skirt. So this is my skirt. I'm done joining it, and yeah, this is how it's looking. So beautiful and stretching at the same time. Okay, so here we are attaching the yarn to make single crochets. We are trying to make our waistband. So there are two things that I'm going to show you. If you want to make a waistband, or you just want to attach the elastic, it will depend on you. So first of all, you start with the chaining 1, then turn your work and start making single crochets in all invisible space that you can see. And as for me, I I I I made 3 single crochets, then 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. That's how I was alternating mine because the gap was very wide, so I had to make 3 single crochets in the same space. The next will be 2. That's how I was doing mine. So continue all around and come back to the end, and I'll show you how to make your band in case you want the band, right? Then that is the same thing you're going to make at your down skirt, the finishing. Okay, let's go. So here we are at the end of the row, and I'm still making my few single crochets. Then I'll slip stitch in the first row, in the first chain, sorry. So next, after slip stitching, you will chain the number of chain you want. That is 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm just showing you because I'm not using the band, so it will depend on you the number of chains you want, whether 8 or 10. So you start with your single crochets in each chain back to the end. Make sure you get a total of 5 because we used one to turn over. So when you get at the end, you'll be having 5 single crochets like so. Then slip stitch in the first stitch, go to the next stitch, slip stitch inside there, then chain 1, turn your work, then skip the 2 chain that you slip stitched, and to the third one you start again with your single crochets. Then count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4, then 5. All right, then 5 again, you chain 1, then turn your work, then again continue in your back loop. We've been working on back loops, so we have 1 single crochet in back loop, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then the last one is 5. Then after getting your 5, again go back and slip stitch in the next stitch like so. Go to the next stitch, slip stitch inside there too, then chain 1 and turn your work, then skip 2 stitches, then in your third stitch continue with your single crochets in the back loop. So this is how to make your band. So you can make it longer with 10 rows, 10 chains, because we started with the chains. You can make it longer with 10 or 8. I'm just showing you because I'm not using the band. I'm using something else. So this is how you make your band in case you're using your band. All right. All right, so if you're not using the band, you're using elastic, because I'm going to use elastic on mine. Cut the size of elastic of your waist. Mine is, it was something 15, but if you stretch it, you get to 20. You stretch it, you get to 25, because the waist is very small than the hip. So that's why I'm using elastic. And now you attach your elastic, then attach your yarn from the back like so, and tighten the elastic and the yarn together like this. Then start making your single crochets all around the elastic. All right, all around the elastic. So that's how to attach the elastic. So simple. Get your measurement of the waist, then cut it and join it together, then attach it and start making single crochets on top of the elastic and the panel like this. The reason I'm using my elastic because the hip is bigger than the waist, so if I use the band, it will not make sense. That's why I'm trying to use the elastic so that it will cover it very well. So that is it. So go ahead and attach your elastic, and that will be all for today. Then after attaching your elastic, remember to make your single crochets at your down part of your skirt. Yeah, to just finish it up. Wow, so thank you so much for you starting with me until the end of this video. I do appreciate your support and love, and thank you so much for engaging on my videos, liking my videos and subscribing. I love you so much, and I don't take you all for granted. So I'll say bye bye. See you in my next one. I love you.